Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. Had an opportunity today got an invite. Really love it when I can engage with subscribers of the channel, especially go out fishing with subscribers of the channel that live throughout our region. You can always shoot me an email. It's in the description below. If you live in the DMV and you're interested in going fishing. But I got an invite after a couple of my videos regarding the Classic. Some of the videos I put out about the Classic. I mean, everybody's putting out videos about the Classic now, right? It was mainly on the topic of forward-facing sonar. So I got an invite from a subscriber to go out on the Occoquan and really talk about forward-facing sonar because, I get a lot of hate when I do a video about Randy Blockett from the Randy Blockett subscribers because they don't know anything about my channel. They don't know anything about me, and they don't know anything about my channel. So they just assume that I'm like a Blockett hater or, I'm just down for forward-facing sonar. And that's just not the case. I am on the fence on forward-facing sonar. And I have the utmost respect for a lot of those individuals. People like a Todd Castledine, who's got a great channel. You should check it out. Who has forward-facing sonar on his boat, professional angler, competes in a lot of tours and stuff. I would call him a professional angler. I know some people have tried it, whatever, but again, he fishes for checks. Okay. And he's got forward-facing sonar on his boat, but I wouldn't classify him as a scoper. Right? And so we've gotten into where we've framed people into being 100% scopers and they can't get fish anyway, and if we took scoping away, they'd never win it, they'd never get a check. Like that mentality about these young bucks. Then we got people who hate forward-facing sonar altogether with, okay? People who refuse to put it on their boat. They think it's whatever it is, and, okay. And then we've got the people that are like Todd Castledine and people other people that I know that, they have it, but they'd prefer not to utilize it. It's not in their tools, their toolbox really, or their arsenal really, but they'll use it if they have to use it. But they would prefer to use other traditional techniques. And I respect that, and I don't have any problem with that. You know what I mean? And I've been on the fence about it, really. I haven't spent it. Again, these people have no idea about the channel or me, and don't know. But I don't have forward-facing sonar. I've not dropped a single dime on live scope or forward-facing sonar. Okay? Because I've been waiting to see what the natural progression is. Because honestly, I wasn't sure whether or not, we were going to see some bans on some series or even my state. There are people pushing in my state to ban it. You can't use it. For freshwater and for recreational now, even though we know what goes on the commercial side of fishing, and the technology that they have on those boats, in saltwater, for example. But I was just kind of well, let's kind of see how this all plays out, and that's what we've all been going through over the last 2 years, right? So it's great to have someone say, hey, look, why don't you come out with me? Let's talk about forward-facing sonar. Let me show you how I utilize forward-facing sonar. And this is this is the conversation that needs to take place. These are the experiences, okay? Because fundamentally, 90% of the people that I talk to that are anti-forward-facing sonar have never been on a boat with forward-facing sonar. The only thing that they know about forward-facing sonar is what they've watched on TV or on their computer or on their phone because of a MLF Live or Bass Live or something. That's all they know. They don't know anything about the actual implications, utilizations, or even how it works. And yet most of them probably have a graph. And what forward-facing sonar really is nothing more than that evolution, okay, of the technology that's already pre-existed. Most people buy fish finders. Most people buy graphs. Maybe they're under $500. Now, when you're talking forward-facing sonar, you're approaching $2,000. Some of them have come down, but the really good one, $2,000 to $2,500. And for me, I think because most of the people that I talk to in this debate over forward-facing sonar, one of the first or second things that they bring up is cost. Okay? And I just want to stress this, because this is where I come from on this, in the consideration process, is here's a simple thing from the Bassmaster Classic. everybody caught about Lee Livesey, right? Everybody caught about the fact that he had that bait, pink and white and chatterbait, and, it was talked about, and it was talked about in the video after Bassmaster Classic when they got with the top 6 or so anglers, and they discussed their baits, and everybody saw it. It's all sold out. Okay, like anything that's pink or white from JDM, anything that's chatterbait, anything that even comes close to that pink and white color or pink like trailer, soft plastic, they're sold out. Okay, why is that? Because we saw it on live or on Bassmaster, or it came to our feeds and we wanted to go buy it. Right? Why do we want to go buy it? We want to go buy it because Lee Livesey put big ass bags in the boat at the Bassmaster Classic. It helped him get into the top 10. Right? Okay? And we want some of that juice, right? We want to catch fish like that, right? So we go out and buy a bait. Right? And we bought that bait. Okay? And we do that all the time. But when it comes to forward-facing sonar, we don't seem to apply that same kind of logic. And what I mean by is, we've known for a while now that forward-facing sonar catches big fish. How do we know that? We know that from the guides. We know that from guides in Texas and guides around the country, because forward-facing sonar really landed on the guides first before it landed on the professional anglers. Content creators that have to catch big fish, right, to keep people engaged on their channels. Guides, okay, who are paying. I had a subscriber contact me and tell me they spent $2,000 on a guide trip in Texas and then proceeded to send me pictures of all the fish he caught. It was like freaking candy on Halloween. 7-pounder, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 9, 7, 8, 6, 7, 9. Okay? Right? He paid $2,000 for that experience. That experience was brought to him by a guide who had trained and had the skills for years with forward-facing sonar to target fish, target big fish, to deliver so he could charge $2,000 to $2,500. Josh Jones, another example. Ben Milliken is another example of forward-facing sonar years ago. Okay? People tuned in to watch that. Okay? And everybody was fine with it. And then when it moved into the professional side, people started to get a little bit kind of like salty about it. Like it was changing the sport. Well, guys, the sport of bass fishing, I've said this before, changes and evolves every decade with technology. Forward-facing sonar is nothing more than an extension of the technology that already existed. I went back, I'm going to do a live feed coming up here on my YouTube channel with the 1990 Bassmaster Classic in Richmond, Virginia, James River, won by Rick Clunt. Okay? Full disclosure, I was 20 years old at that classic. Okay? Found some old video. Okay? Look at the boats. I want you to look at the boats. I want you to look at what they have on their boats. I want you to look at the motors that they had. The Johnson the Johnson, the friggin' Mercuries, 125s, 150, 200. What kind of motors we running now on the Bassmaster Elite Series, guys? Again, evolution of technology. How big were the Ranger boats back then in 1990? How long were they? How wide were they? Right? What came standard on the boat in 1990 at the Bassmaster Classic? Okay? If you were going to go out and buy a brand new Ranger boat. Right? Everything is layered and builds on it. Okay? And so all the people that are salty about forward-facing sonar, one, don't have it, and more importantly, can't afford to buy it. Because the same logic applies to that bait I was talking about. We got no problem going and spending $14.99 on a freaking chatterbait, okay, that wins a classic or wins an Elite Series event or a bunch of mooch minnows, buy a bunch of packs, spend $20 on some mooch minnows that win an MLF event. We got no problem doing that, okay? But something that's $2,500, we got a problem, okay? And that's all behavioral. This whole forward-facing sonar debate isn't about fishing. This whole forward-facing sonar debate is about sociology and psychology. That's what it is. If forward-facing sonar was $500, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Why? Because everybody who wants to mirror, mimic their idol or the people they envy that are bass fishing for a living, like we all wish we could do. Let's be honest. We all wish we could quit our jobs tomorrow and just go fish for a living. We all do. We want things to be even. We want the pros to be fishing like we're fishing, right? Okay? Because it's not like a real professional sport. None of us could be a running back or a wide receiver in the NFL. None of us could make an NBA basketball team. None of us could make a hockey team in the NHL. None of us could pitch in Major League Baseball. All of those real professional sports, right? We know they're unattainable for us. But bass fishing is not unattainable. We can do exactly what those guys are doing. We can go buy the exact same boat. We can go buy the exact same baits. We can go buy the exact same apparel, the same rods, the same reels. We can put the same exact motor on the back of our boat. We can get forward-facing sonar. We can do everything that the pros do. Can't do that with any other professional sport. None of them. We'll never see the field. But we could take our boat to the river. We could take our boat to the lake. We can do all the same things. And so the real reason why forward-facing sonar leaves people so salty is it's the people who can't afford it, have never been in a boat with it, and just don't understand it, okay? But it's mainly about not being able to afford it, because we all know the truth, okay? We all know the truth. If you got that email, or you got that raffle that was going to give you a brand new, spanking new hummingbird, okay, with forward-facing sonar live scope, you'd put it on your boat. Come on now. Let's be honest. You'd put it on your boat. I would. Why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Again, if it was $500, we wouldn't be having this discussion, because everybody would have it. I mean, realistically, nowadays, you know, and even because back in the 90s, most people had fish finders. Most people had the same rod and reels. Most people had the same stuff, access to the same stuff that the pros had. And when people talk about legacy, people talk about traditional bass fishing, people talk about the way it used to be way back in the day, that's what it's really about. It's that they could go out and buy the same stuff, you know, relative to the professionals that they love and the guys that they looked up to and envied, right? Today, it's harder to do. Most people aren't going to go out and buy a $100,000 icon, guys. Okay? And most people aren't going to go out and buy. Everything's gotten more expensive. And it's kind of moved itself away. And there has been that argument that fishing is no longer the working man's sport, hobby or sport. And there may be some truth to that because of how expensive the industry has gotten. But again, it all comes down to money. Because if you had the means to put forward-facing, if you had the means to buy a $100,000 boat, you probably have the means to buy a $2,000 forward-facing sonar and live scope. Like I've said in previous videos, I've gone to the river and I've gone to the reservoir and I've seen kayakers pull up with 2 freaking graphs, live scope and all, on a freaking $1,000. Their live scope forward-facing sonar cost more than their kayak. Think about that. Okay? These are decisions that people are making today, okay? And while it's maybe, you know, a little harder financially, obviously financing has never been, well, at least in the last couple of years, it's tightened up. But it's for the last decade, financing has been easy as all get out. Low doc, you know, to get a loan for a boat, okay? Don't even verify your income. Like, just same as they did with houses 15, 20 years ago, before the bust, before the crash, okay? Like, you can go on finance your $2,500 graph for $60 a month online at like a dozen places. And if you can't find them, hit me up. I'll show you exactly who they are to where you can get it if you want to get it. Okay? But that's what it's about. It's not about preserving anything. It really isn't. Because we've always been doing this. Go back and look at this. In the 1970s, guys came to the ramp with stringers of fish. Stringers on stringers. Okay? Then go look at the 80s. Then go look at the 90s. You know, with patches and vests. Now we've got sublimation jerseys. Go look at the elevation of every single aspect of bass fishing at the elite level, the professional level, that has changed and evolved since the beginning, since that first event in 1971. Come on, guys. You guys got to catch up. And in my opinion, again, as someone who's not pro forward-facing sonar and someone who's not anti-forward-facing sonar, I respect the fact that this is just simply the evolution of the sport. And people can decide on their own if they want to get on board or not. There is an option. NPFL, if you want to watch and spend your time watching guys fish without forward-facing sonar, have at it. No problem. This is America. America. Okay? Land of opportunity. Okay? Their NPFL is differentiating themselves, and we'll find out in 2 or 3 years whether or not that was a smart move or not. Bass has made its decision. MLF is kind of hem and hawed and made their decision with whatever it is they're doing. It's kind of weird, to be honest. But they're hedging their bet, okay? And this is where we've reached this spot where people are going to make up to kind of figure out and navigate it. So as a consumer, you vote with your feet and you vote with your dollar. And I think the bigs have understood that's going to happen. Nothing has changed. It's always been that way. It was doom and gloom when FLW got bought by MLF. Doom and gloom. And then it was doom and gloom again when Bass guys started to leave to go to MLF. And then it was doom and gloom when the NPFL started up as a third option for people. Why on earth, in a country that claims to be the United States of America, more options are bad, right? We should only have one trail. We should only have one trail. Why? The difference being is you're not going to have multiple NFLs, multiple major. We have minor league baseball. MLS has 3 freaking amateur leagues that fuel it for soccer. Basketball's got the G League. Everyone now, except for freaking really in the NFL, I guess you could say the XFL and that kind of stuff is kind of like a feeder system. You know what I mean? But you've got now, but in fishing, we only can have one. That's just, I don't buy that. There's so many people that fish in our country as adults. How many adults are playing football? How many adults are playing baseball? They're playing softball. They're not playing baseball. How many adults are playing soccer? How many adults are playing all these things? Okay? There's more adults fishing. Okay? So that makes sense for why there would be more opportunities and more trails. Whether they have forward-facing sonar or not is irrelevant. Because you can go to where you want to go. And that's basically the lesson I learned today. It was like, man, open up my eyes. I appreciate it when my subscribers call me and want me to go fishing with them, give them a perspective. And I got a brand new perspective for forward-facing sonar. Just saying.